Here in our little quadrant of the world, spring has sprung, and that means the plants are green, the shirts are green, even the trees outside are green. The grass, well, the grass is only kind of half green. We could really use some rain. But it also means that James needs a green pen. And this Jinhao 95 seems to fit the bill. It is a good-looking green and gold trimmed pen, and it comes with the Jinhao number 5 nib, which I've had great experience with before. But does this one write well? Is this actually worth the really affordable price that you'll pay for it? Let's flip the camera and find out. As you can imagine, the first thing that caught my eye with the Jinhao 95 was that nice green matte finish. The color is what sold me on this pen. I do like, can you tell, a dark green. I just think that it pairs well with the gold-colored trim, and really this pen reminds me of a lot of award pens, nice pens from back in the 70s and 80s, and I think that this design ages well. It's just simple, classic, unoffensive style, and I do like it. Now, at the end of the barrel, we have that polished gold-colored trim. You have the same in the trim band, which does, of course, include the Jinhao name, and I appreciate this always, the model number, which is great because I used to have no trouble remembering all the model numbers of these pens, but we've crossed the tipping point on that and the number of pens in this collection so far, okay? Anyway, and then you come up to the stamped steel clip, and it is good and stiff, but not too stiff. That matters, you know? And then, of course, another polished finial at the top of the cap. And speaking of that cap, it is a slip-on cap with a plastic liner, as you can see up inside there. It does post well and securely, no issue there whatsoever, and that plastic liner should keep it from wearing that finish off too quickly, but of course with all things your mileage may vary. Now coming to the grip, you'll notice it is a nice long grip with a brushed metal finish, so it is not actually slippery. I can get a good grip on this. It's not as textured as some, like the Gravitas back there, so you don't get that much grip, but it is enough that it is effective in keeping it from becoming too slippery. Maybe if you're in a hot, humid climate, it will be a little bit more slippery, but it's not too bad today. It's 102 degrees today, but hey, it's a dry climate, right? It's only dry until you start sweating, and then maybe it's an issue. Anyway, that's what you get. And whether you are a low gripper or a high gripper or a middle gripper, it's a long enough section that you'll be able to find your little Goldilocks spot. And then it tapers down to this gold trim ring at the end of the grip section. I think all of this looks pretty nice. And then you get that number 5 Jinhao nib. This one is a fine with a typical plastic feed. And I will say that my experience with Jinhao number 5 fine nibs is, I'm going to be that specific, right, is really quite good. I'm anxious to get this one inked up. I have not ridden with it. This is a first impressions review, and I'm interested to see if it performs as well as past nibs. You know, past performance is no guarantee of future results, so we'll just have to put it to the test ourselves and see, but experience has been good with these nibs. And next we'll open up that barrel, and these are metal on metal threads. And we find, of course, the included converter. So this is that 2.6 millimeter Jinhao converter that does allow for both Jinhao cartridges and Jinhao converters, and then also international standard cartridges will work both long and short. So that's always useful and helpful. So now why don't we get this pen inked up and see how it performs? What I'm going to use today is Diamine Sherwood Green. I bought this ink for my wife and gave this to her on the one condition that I got to use it in one review, and this is the review. It just seems to me like the right ink for this pen, which itself looks like it belongs in an English mahogany-lined personal office or library, doesn't it? And of course, this is special to us because my wife used to live in Nottingham, England, and I actually proposed to her at Wollaton Park there in Nottingham. So all of that, Nottingham and Sherwood Forest and everything else, is that's one of our happy places. Just in case you've already forgotten the model number yourself, it's easy to do. It's the Jinhao 95, and this is in that fine number 5 nib. And this is diamine. Sherwood green. Okay, now so far I can tell you, I do like, this is a nice crisp fine, and I do like that about its line. Let's see how wet or dry that may be. That's about right, I think, for a fine. Those were bad. Okay, I'm giving myself a D on that one. That was bad. It was just bad. We have several people from the UK who comment here quite often. Always appreciate that. And it is in your honor that even though this is a British ink and it is even a Sherwood green, that I am not faking a British accent today. I know some of you were already probably doing a preparatory cringe, just waiting for me to do that, but I won't do it. I won't do it, but I'll talk to you like I'm from up north. That I can do. Okay. London, one of my favorite cities to walk in on earth. Dover, absolutely beautiful. Finally got to check that off my bucket list just a few years ago, just before that big pandemic, which shall not be named, kept us from making our return trip a couple of years ago. We're really hoping to make a trip like that again. And Nottingham. My wife absolutely loved living there. We stayed there kind of as our central hub as we traveled to London and Dover, which are not close to Nottingham at all, and of course over to Chester on the border of England and Wales, one of our absolute favorite smaller cities anywhere we've ever been. We just like to go and hang out. It's gotten a little, I would say, over commercialized, and that's an understatement, but we do love the history. It's a city that has still a lot of Roman structure and everything else, and just a neat place to hang out, have a flat white, and enjoy your family and watch people go by. Just loved it, and loved going to evensong at the cathedral there, where people have been having evensong for over 1,000 years. Just a lovely place, Chester, England. If you ever get a chance, you definitely want to go there. But now that I've given you a little bit of English tourism advice that was completely unsolicited, let's get back to the pen, which the color just evokes those memories for me in this pen. It really does. I like this pen. The writing of the nib, let's do a quick speed test. It is good. It's reasonably smooth. Boy, that's keeping up. No problem. That's no pressure whatsoever. And that just kept up. No skipping. And look at that. I was well behaved and didn't turn the nib myself. That wrote really, really well. Maybe it's a forgiving pen, which is always nice too. So I like that. Now I think what we need is Dad Joke of the Week. Arg, that was a bad one, wasn't it? All right, so my first impression of this pen is really quite positive. It's solidly made. It is a really good value. That nib performed to my expectations, and I think this is a great gift pen, starter pen, or just a fun pen because it's the right color green, right? Reminds you of different things. And so I could definitely recommend the Jinhao 95 as another solid choice from Jinhao. And of course, I hope that you and yours are doing well. God bless you. Have a great week.